I never thought I'd be sitting here, at 58 years old, writing about the possibility that my 57-year-old husband might be cheating on me. At this stage of life, you imagine comfort, routine, and trust. You don't expect to be blindsided by suspicion like some jealous teenager. And yet here I am. Let me set the scene. It was just another ordinary evening, or at least it started that way. I was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. The smell of onions and garlic filled the air, mingling with the faint hum of cicadas outside. The back door was open, a warm summer breeze drifting through. Denny was at the dining table where he always keeps his laptop. That thing has basically become his little office. He spends hours on it, stock trading, news, YouTube videos, sometimes even chatting with his day trading group. I tease him about being glued to it, but it never bothered me much. We were chatting idly about nothing important, how expensive groceries have gotten, whether the grandkids might visit next weekend, whether we should finally fix the leaky faucet in the bathroom. It was all routine, domestic chatter, the kind of easy rhythm you build over decades. Then he got up. "I'll be right back," he said casually, heading down the hallway to the bathroom. I kept stirring the sauce, listening to the sizzle of onions in the pan. It was quiet for maybe a minute or so. Then suddenly, clear as day, I heard a woman's voice. Not Alexa, not a TV. A woman's voice coming from Denny's laptop. And this is what I swear I heard. "We shouldn't be here right now." My body froze. My hand gripped the spoon so tightly, I thought it might snap in two. The words hung in the air, heavy, damning. My mind immediately went into overdrive. What the hell was that? Who the hell was that? I turned and looked at the laptop sitting innocently on the dining table. The screen was lit, some tabs open. Nothing suspicious at first glance. But I knew what I had heard. I wasn't losing my mind. It wasn't the wind or a neighbor's conversation drifting through the window. That voice was inside this house. My chest tightened. My stomach churned. The room suddenly felt smaller, hotter. My thoughts spun in circles. What if he's been talking to another woman online? What if this isn't new? What if this has been happening right under my nose and I've been too naive, too trusting, too old to even notice? By the time Denny walked back in, my heart was pounding in my ears. I didn't even think. The words just came flying out of my mouth. "Who the fuck are you talking to on your computer?" He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. His eyebrows shot up, genuine confusion written all over his face. What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb with me," I snapped. My voice shook, a mix of fury and fear. I heard her, a woman's voice. She said, "We shouldn't be here right now. Don't you dare stand there and act like I'm crazy." His mouth opened and closed, like he couldn't even form words. "Lana, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about." I wasn't talking to anyone. I felt the betrayal bubbling up in my chest, but underneath it was something worse. Doubt. That sick, gnawing doubt that makes you question your entire marriage. I've always believed Denny was loyal. We've had ups and downs like any couple, but cheating? That's never been on my radar. Until now. I crossed my arms, glaring at him. "Don't lie to me. If you've got some little Discord girlfriend or whatever, just be a man and say it. Don't make me look like a fool." He ran his hand through his thinning hair, sighing in frustration. Then he launched into this explanation, something about how he only uses one Discord channel for day trading and that he didn't even have voice chat open. He listed off his open tabs like he was reading a grocery list. YouTube videos about jets, stock market charts, diesel engines, some geology lecture, even a golf video. He insisted none of them could possibly have that phrase. The more he explained, the angrier I felt. It sounded rehearsed, too detailed, too careful, like a man scrambling to cover his tracks. Meanwhile, my mind was spiraling. I thought about what we've been dealing with in our family recently. My niece just caught her husband cheating, and it's torn their marriage apart. We've been dragged into the drama, consoling her, taking sides, witnessing the ugly fallout. It's been raw, painful, messy. Maybe that's why I snapped so quickly. Maybe I'm primed to see betrayal everywhere right now. But still, I know what I heard. I told him flat out. Don't think you can explain this away. I'm not stupid. That voice came from your computer, Denny. He stared at me, eyes wide, as if sheer disbelief could prove his innocence. Lana, I swear on everything I don't cheat. I've never cheated. Look through my phone, my computer, whatever you want. You won't find anything. But the thing is, men who cheat always say that. Every woman who's been lied to has heard those same lines. I swear. I'd never. You can check everything. And yet, the truth always comes out. My throat felt tight. I turned off the stove before the sauce burned, and just stood there, my hands shaking. My husband of nearly 4 decades, the man I've built a life with, was standing 3 feet away insisting he was innocent. And yet, in my gut, all I could hear was that phantom voice repeating itself. We shouldn't be here right now. Dinner was ruined. The night was ruined. Honestly, maybe our marriage was ruined too. I didn't want to hear another word. I walked down the hallway and grabbed a blanket. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight, I told him coldly. His face fell, but I couldn't stay and listen to more denials. Not when my trust was hanging by a thread. Lying in that guest bed later, staring at the ceiling, my mind wouldn't shut off. Was I losing it? Did I really miss her? Or was this the beginning of the end? The moment I realized my husband wasn't the man I thought he was? I didn't have answers. Only questions. And a heart that felt heavier than it ever had before. I didn't sleep much that night in the guest room. The ceiling fan spun lazily above me, the faint whirring sound doing nothing to calm my restless thoughts. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it again. That woman's voice. We shouldn't be here right now. It replayed in my head like a broken record, mocking me, whispering betrayal. Meanwhile, in the master bedroom down the hall, Denny was probably lying there just as awake, maybe cursing me for not believing him. Maybe planning how he'd cover his tracks better. Maybe messaging her, whoever she was. I tried to push that thought away, but it kept circling back. Morning came, and with it, the heaviness of silence. I woke to the smell of coffee drifting through the hallway. Denny was in the kitchen, making breakfast like nothing had happened. The normalcy of it infuriated me. How could he pretend everything was fine when the foundation of our marriage had just cracked wide open? Morning, he said softly when I walked in, holding out a mug for me. His eyes were red, and his voice carried that tentative, careful tone you use when stepping around glass. I didn't take the mug. I crossed my arms and leaned against the counter. So, are you going to tell me the truth now, Denny? He sighed, setting the mug down. Lana, I already told you the truth. I wasn't talking to anyone. I don't know what you heard, but it wasn't me. That's not good enough, I snapped. I'm not crazy. I know what I heard. He ran a hand over his face, the stubble on his chin scratching against his palm. Okay, then let's go through this. Right now. He motioned for me to sit at the dining table. I reluctantly followed, glaring at that damn laptop as if it were the mistress herself. Denny opened it, the familiar hum filling the room as he brought it out of sleep mode. Here, he said, pulling up Discord. He clicked through the server's voice channels chat logs. Nothing. Just a bunch of boring graphs and day trading chatter. No female voices, no secret conversations. Next, he opened Firefox. A cascade of tabs appeared across the top. YouTube videos, stock charts, Facebook. He clicked through them one by one. Jets. Engines. Some boring geology lecture, with a man droning on. Golf highlights. None of them matched the voice I'd heard. See, he said, gesturing helplessly. There's nothing here. I watched him, my stomach tight with unease. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to so badly. But my mind wouldn't let go. Maybe you closed it last night before I could see, I said bitterly. He groaned. Lana, I didn't close anything. You know me, I leave tabs open for weeks. Look at this mess. He pointed to the dozens of cluttered tabs, a digital hoarder's paradise. He wasn't wrong. Denny never closed anything. Still, my doubts clawed at me. Then how do you explain the voice? It didn't come from me. It didn't come from the TV. It came from this table, from your computer. I don't know, he exclaimed, exasperated. Maybe it was a random ad or a pop-up or something glitched. Computers do weird stuff sometimes. His explanation sounded reasonable, but my heart wasn't convinced. Not after the cheating mess in our family. Not after watching my niece crumble when she found her husband's secret messages. I could still hear her sobbing on the phone. He swore he'd never hurt me, Aunt Lana. And he did. Once trust cracks, even a little, it spreads like a spider web through glass. That's how I felt, like the tiniest fracture had appeared in my marriage, and it was spreading, threatening to shatter everything. I shook my head. You're just trying to cover your ass. You men always do this. Act like women are crazy, make us doubt our own ears, our own instincts. His shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of him. Lana, I'm not trying to gaslight you. I love you. I don't want anyone else. Please, you have to believe me. Tears pricked my eyes, but I blinked them back. Love doesn't explain the voice I heard. We sat there in silence for what felt like forever, the only sound the faint ticking of the kitchen clock. Finally, I stood up. I can't do this right now. I need space. I grabbed my purse and keys, ignoring his calls as I walked out the door. I didn't have a plan, just a need to breathe away from him, away from that laptop. I drove aimlessly for a while, past the grocery store, the park, the little coffee shop we used to take the kids to when they were small. Every place was heavy with memories, reminders of the life we'd built together. Part of me felt crazy for doubting him. Another part felt crazy for not doubting him enough. When I finally pulled back into the driveway, Denny's truck was gone. Relief and panic hit me in equal measure. Relief that I wouldn't have to face him immediately. Panic that maybe he was with her, whoever she was. That night, I slept in the guest room again. The distance between us grew, invisible but suffocating. Over the next few days, things only got worse. Every time he tried to explain, I shut him down. Every time he offered proof, I saw excuses. He'd point to his history, his open tabs, his untouched discord. But all I could hear was that voice echoing in my memory. Friends noticed the tension. My sister asked if we were fighting. I brushed her off, embarrassed to admit what I suspected. How could I tell anyone that I thought my husband was cheating because of one stray sentence I heard from a computer? It sounded ridiculous out loud, and yet it felt so real. Finally, after another night of restless sleep, I made a decision. I needed to get out of the house, away from Denny, away from that suffocating cloud of suspicion. I picked up the phone and called my oldest friend, Martha. "Can I come stay with you for a bit?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Of course, honey," she said immediately. "Bring your things. You can have the guest room as long as you need." I didn't tell Denny I was leaving. I just packed a small bag, some clothes, toiletries, and the weight of a broken heart, and drove to Martha's place across town. As I pulled into her driveway, I felt a strange mixture of guilt and relief. Guilt for abandoning my husband without warning. Relief for finally stepping out of the pressure cooker that had become our home. I had no idea that the answer I'd been searching for was waiting for me in Martha's living room. Martha has been my best friend for over 30 years. We met when our kids were in the same preschool class, and from that point on, we were inseparable. Through marriages, divorces, health scares, holidays, and family drama, she has always been my anchor. If there was anyone I could run to in this storm of doubt and betrayal, it was her. She greeted me at the door with a hug so tight I almost cried. "You look exhausted, Lana," she said, leading me inside. "Come on, let's get you settled." Her home was warm and familiar, smelling faintly of lavender and lemon cleaner. She had redecorated recently, but it still felt like the safe space it had always been. I put my small overnight bag in the guest room and sat at her kitchen table with a cup of chamomile tea. "So," Martha began gently, "are you going to tell me what's going on, or do I have to drag it out of you?" I hesitated, ashamed. The words sounded ridiculous even in my own head, but I forced them out. "I think Denny might be cheating on me." Her eyebrows shot up. "Denny? That man who still gets starry-eyed every time you walk into a room? Honey, what makes you think that?" I swallowed hard. I heard a woman's voice. From his computer. She said, "We shouldn't be here right now." He swears it wasn't him, but I know what I heard. And with everything going on with my niece's marriage, my voice cracked. I can't ignore it. Martha reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Oh, Lana. I'm so sorry. That must have felt like a punch to the gut. It did, I admitted, tears stinging my eyes. And no matter how much he explains, I can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something. She sighed, sympathy softening her face. Well, you're welcome to stay here as long as you need. Clear your head. Sometimes distance gives you perspective. That evening after dinner, we settled into her living room. Martha poured us each a glass of wine, and I tried to relax. She turned on the TV, flipping through channels, but then she paused and grinned. Actually, you know what? Let's play something instead. I've been obsessed with this game lately. I laughed. Martha, you? Playing games. She winked. Don't underestimate me, old friend. My son set me up with this thing and I've gotten hooked. It helps me unwind. She picked up a controller from the coffee table and booted up the console. The title screen flashed. Diablo. My jaw nearly dropped. Wait, do you play Diablo? Sure do, she said proudly. It's addicting. You should try it sometime. I chuckled, shaking my head. Funny, Denny plays that one too. She handed me the second controller. Perfect. Then you'll know what you're doing. I didn't argue, figuring it might be a good distraction from the knot in my stomach. We started a game together, her character already a few levels higher than mine. The screen filled with the familiar Gothic landscapes, the eerie music, the clatter of combat. For a few minutes, I actually forgot my troubles. Martha and I laughed as our characters slashed through monsters, collecting loot and healing potions. And then it happened. Her character was standing in town, not moving, when she accidentally hit an attack button on the controller. Suddenly, a female voice rang out from the TV speakers. You can't do that right now. My blood froze. My entire body went rigid. My heart started hammering in my chest. Martha looked at me, confused. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. My throat went dry. Play that again, I whispered. She shrugged and pressed the button again. The same voice repeated. You can't do that right now. Tears welled up in my eyes as realization crashed over me. That was it. That was the voice I'd heard at home. The phrasing wasn't identical, but it was close enough that my brain, primed for suspicion, had twisted it into something damning. We shouldn't be here right now. You can't do that right now. I sank back into the couch, overwhelmed by shame. My face burned hot, my chest tight with guilt. All this time, I had been accusing Denny of cheating, tearing our marriage apart, when the truth had been sitting right in front of me. A stupid video game line. Oh my God, I whispered. Martha, I think I've made a terrible mistake. She set down her controller, eyes full of concern. Talk to me. What mistake? I told her everything. The fight, the accusations, the sleepless nights in the guest room. My doubts gnawing at me like termites in wood. By the time I finished, my voice was trembling. And now, hearing that it was the game. Denny must have been telling the truth the whole time. I accused him of cheating over a line from a video game. Martha's face softened. Oh, Lana. No wonder you were so upset. But you see now, don't you? He wasn't lying. He was caught in a terrible coincidence. I buried my face in my hands. I've been so cruel to him. I didn't believe him, no matter what he said. I left him alone in that house, probably wondering if our entire marriage was crumbling when he hadn't done a damn thing wrong. Martha put her arm around me, pulling me close. Listen, you've been under so much stress with your niece's situation. Anyone in your shoes would have been suspicious. Don't beat yourself up too much. What matters now is making it right. Her words were kind, but they didn't erase the ache in my chest. I thought about Denny's face when I accused him, the pain in his voice when he said, Please, you have to believe me. And I hadn't. Not once. I stayed the night at Martha's, but I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Denny sitting at that dining table, opening tab after tab, begging me to trust him. And I blinded by fear and insecurity, had turned my back on him. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I packed my bag, hugged Martha tight, and promised to call her later. "Thank you," I said through tears. "You have no idea what you've done for me." She smiled knowingly. "Go home to your husband, Lana. He loves you. Show him you still love him too." Driving back home, my stomach twisted with nerves. What if Denny was too hurt to forgive me? What if my accusations had already left scars too deep to heal? I pulled into our driveway, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. His truck was there, parked exactly where it always was. My heart raced as I walked up the steps, fumbling with my keys. Inside, the house was quiet. Too quiet. The silence pressed down on me like a weight. "Denny." I called softly. No answer. I set my bag down, took a deep breath, and prepared myself for the hardest conversation of my life. When I stepped into the house, it felt foreign, like I was trespassing in my own home. Everything was familiar. The faint smell of Denny's aftershave lingering in the hallway, the framed photos of our kids on the wall, the comfortable clutter of the living room, but there was a chill in the air that hadn't been there before. I dropped my bag by the door and called again. "Denny." Still no answer. My heart started to race. Maybe he'd gone out. Maybe he didn't want to see me, maybe. And then I heard it. The faint clatter of keys from the study. I followed the sound, my palms damp, my throat tight. There he was, sitting at his desk, glasses perched on his nose, focused on something on the computer screen. The sight of him hit me like a tidal wave. This man, my husband, my partner of over 30 years, looked so familiar and yet so distant in that moment. He turned when he heard me, surprise flickering across his face. "Lana, you're back." His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't warm either. Just neutral. And somehow, that hurt more than if he'd yelled. I stood frozen in the doorway, my eyes stinging. "Denny, can we talk?" He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "I think we should, yeah." For a moment, I couldn't find the words. My throat felt like sandpaper. Finally, I forced myself to speak. "I owe you an apology. A real one. Not half-hearted like before. I was wrong, Denny. Completely, utterly wrong." He studied me silently, waiting. I swallowed hard, tears already threatening. "That night, when I heard the voice, I was so sure it meant you were cheating. I convinced myself that it was another woman. I didn't believe you when you said otherwise. I tore into you, doubted you, treated you like a criminal in your own home. And I left. I walked out, convinced I was the victim." My voice cracked. "But last night at Martha's, she plays Diablo too. And I heard it, Denny." The exact same voice. It wasn't another woman. It was the game. "You were telling the truth all along." He didn't move. He didn't say anything. His face gave nothing away. That silence was unbearable. I pressed on, desperate. "I can't describe to you how small I feel right now. How ashamed. I let my fears, my insecurities, and even what's happening with my niece cloud my judgment. I accused the man who has never given me a reason to doubt him. And I broke something between us." At last he spoke. His voice was low, steady. "Do you know what that felt like, Lana? To sit there while the woman I love, the woman I've built my entire life with, looked me in the eye and told me she thought I was betraying her? Do you know how much it hurt to see you pack your things and walk out the door because you didn't trust me?" The tears finally spilled down my cheeks. "I do know, Denny. I know now. I saw your face when I accused you, and I'll never forget it. You didn't yell. You didn't lash out. You just looked broken. And I did that to you." "Me. Not anyone else. I was the one who betrayed us." His jaw tightened. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "All I wanted was for you to believe me. That's all. We've been married for more than 30 years, and in that moment, all of it meant nothing to you." I stepped closer, trembling. "You're right. I failed you. I failed us. And I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. Because I love you, Denny. More than my pride, more than my fears, more than anything. I love you, and I can't stand the thought of losing you over something so foolish." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the sound of my ragged breathing. Then Denny sighed, rubbing his face with both hands. "Lana, I'm not perfect. I know I've messed up in other ways over the years, but I've never once even thought about betraying you. Not once. And to have you think I did, God, it gutted me." I knelt in front of him, taking his hands in mine, desperate for any sign that I could still reach him. "Please, Denny, let me make it right. I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy, more honesty, more communication, I don't care what it is. Just don't shut me out. Don't give up on me." His eyes softened as he looked at me, and for the first time since I walked in, I saw a flicker of the man who had loved me through everything: the job losses, the health scares, the fights, the reconciliations. The man who had chosen me every single day. Finally, he squeezed my hands. "You hurt me, Lana. But I believe you when you say you're sorry. And I still love you. I always will. We can work through this. But it's going to take time." Relief flooded me so hard, I almost collapsed. I laid my head on his lap, sobbing into his jeans. "Thank you. Thank you, Denny. I promise you'll never regret giving me another chance." He stroked my hair gently, and in that moment, I knew that while I had nearly destroyed us, there was still hope. The days that followed weren't easy. Trust isn't something you snap back into place like a puzzle piece. It has to be rebuilt, brick by brick. I stayed close to him, not in a clingy way, but in a way that showed I was present, invested. I asked about his game, even tried playing a little myself so I could understand the world he loved. We laughed about how terrible I was at it, and he teased me in that old familiar way. We also really talked for the first time in years, about how easy it is to let suspicion creep in when communication falters, about how the stress of our families sometimes leaks into our marriage, about how we needed to lean on each other instead of pushing each other away. There were still moments when I caught a flicker of hurt in his eyes, and I knew it would take more than an apology to erase that. But he didn't shut me out. He still kissed me goodnight, still held my hand in the car, still called me Han, in that gentle way that made my heart ache. Slowly, we found our rhythm again. One evening, a few weeks later, we were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. Denny reached over, lacing his fingers through mine. "You know," he said quietly, "this whole mess, it scared the hell out of me. But maybe it reminded us of something we needed to remember. That love isn't just about the good times. It's about forgiving, about choosing each other even when it's hard." Tears filled my eyes again, but this time they were tears of gratitude. "I'll never forget that again, Denny. I promise." And I meant it. With every fiber of my being, I meant it, because I had almost lost him. And now, having been given the chance to make things right, I knew I would spend the rest of my life proving that my love, my trust, and my commitment were stronger than my fears. We sat there as the sky turned pink and gold, his hand warm in mine, and for the first time in weeks, I felt truly at home.